Good morning. Happy Thursday. We have our higher intensity sessions this morning, live, ready for this morning. So just wanted to jump on and talk about self-sabotaging thoughts and how to overcome them and stop stopping. And this often comes from comparing yourself to others. Let's face it, when we look at this, the easy days are easy, right? When you're on a fitness journey, weight loss journey, in a workplace, the easy days are easy. The tough days are the days that you need to manage and get better at managing. And it's a bit like, the way I describe it is a bit like, instead of just going, this is a tough day, reacting, etc., I've messed up now because I didn't respond how I set out to respond in my plan, in the head of the perfect world, perfect plan that was going to set out. What I want you to think about now is it being a bit like thunder and lightning. Morning, Sue. So imagine your response to a situation, like a tough day, a perceived negative situation. Because remember, a situation is just a situation, an event is just an event. How it's perceived by us is what we make of it, based on our previous experience, based on past experience, which is often a story that our brain uses to help us memorize it, which might actually be an inaccuracy of events. That's why when people give statements and become witnesses, the longer the time goes that they're a witness for it, the lesser they can really take that witness and their story. Anyway, enough of that. If you think of this as like thunder and lightning, okay? So on a tough day, something comes up. There's a response. There's a problem that comes up. Morning, B. There's a problem that comes up, an obstacle that comes up. The time it takes you to respond to that obstacle is a very good indication of how far you've come. So I would actually say, if you can shorten the gap, so you think about thunder and lightning, the shorter the gap they are, the more progress you're making. So if you think sometimes, instead of going, think what your mind does sometimes. An obstacle comes in, oh, bloody hell, messed up again. I've eaten that and I shouldn't have eaten it. I've eaten at my desk again. I said I wouldn't. I had lunch at my desk again. I said I wouldn't. I said I'd go for that walk, but I didn't go for that walk. I ate one biscuit. Bloody hell, I said I wouldn't eat those biscuits with the tea. Whatever we said we wouldn't do, drink, whatever it is. I said I'd exercise, but I didn't. Whatever it is, that is a good opportunity for you to see how quickly did I just get back onto it? How quickly did I just not dwell? Instead of dwelling, that dwelling time, that beating myself up time shrunk a little bit and I was able to get back on it quicker. If you start measuring the gap and the gap keeps getting smaller, that's pretty much a good definition, a good marker that you're going to get results long term. Because if you look at people who've got the best results in all areas, fitness, exercise, they've probably messed up the most times, but they've just got better at responding to these obstacles, quicker to respond and adapt. That is literally it. Because if you think about the time that when someone goes off a plan or whatever they're doing, it's not the fact they've gone off the plan, it's the thoughts about going off the plan. You think you failed because you've gone off the plan, but in actual fact, the plan is there as a plan. It's not actually real. How we play out the plan might be different, but because we've got the plan, that gives us a skeleton. Then we can adapt it. Then we can go, look, this worked, this didn't work. It's just feedback. And guess what? That feedback, when those moments have happened, they're actually there to help you progress. Because if you wouldn't have done that thing, if you wouldn't have found it hard, if you wouldn't have, there was an obstacle in the way, you wouldn't have to think now, how can I come up with a strategy and a solution to overcome it? Because then that strategy and solution is the answer that you've been looking for so long. But if you wouldn't have had the negative experience to get there, you'd have never actually come up with that solution and strategy because you would never have needed to. And I can give you an example. Yesterday, one of the ladies, we've been chatting. So at the start, she was like, I've tried a lot of things, it's never really worked. I feel like I eat healthy, and I was like, right, I know you're not going to want to do this, but can you just track calories for like 3 days for me, and then I can just give you some feedback on it? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. And then it was a bit like, oh yeah, 3 days of that. Okay, I'll do it. It's a bit of like effort, But now we look into it, and she's actually found it really good. And as a result of that, I'm able to quickly give her small changes that she was like, yeah, actually, I think I can actually do that. And I would have never come up with that solution. She might have never agreed to that what I said without the data in front. So the laborious, the negative of, I'm struggling to lose weight, I've tried everything, but just looking at what I eat, like specifically, those experiences that were perceived negatively and as failures were actually critical to the positive result now, where she's able to go, oh, I now know. She can eyeball foods a bit more now. You go, actually, I know that, although that's healthy, that might push me over and stop me getting the fat loss results that will make me healthier. And it's getting that balance. And just remember that sometimes when you're into that comparison mode, and I'm backtracking a bit here, because we look at others and we think they're there, but ultimately they've just shortened the gap. They've just shortened the gap. And you've got to remember, of course they might be fitter than you. Of course they might just not react the same way, but they've probably messed up 100 more times. They might have done 100 more exercise sessions. So remember sometimes that when you compare yourself to someone else, they might not be no better than you. They just simply started before you. It's also a good reminder that there's no better place to start, no best time to start than now, whenever it is, whether it's November, December, January, February, March. There'll always be something. There will always be something. Always. So sometimes just consider your expectations on this. So if you expect it that it will always be plain sailing, it will always be easy, there'll never be obstacles, you're going to be really stuck when those obstacles come up. And just know that those obstacles are there to actually help you. And it's a good opportunity to get a breakthrough. And often we give up at this time when we get that obstacle. And it's really, really sad to see, because actually this is where you often get the breakthrough. If you just kept going that little bit longer, because every time you stop, you have to start all over again. Like all over again. So you've got to remember that, okay, this is an obstacle. How can I overcome this? How can I shorten the gap this time? That's progress. Shorten the gap. Last time when I did this, I went off plan for 4 days. I beat myself up for 4 days. I'm just going to beat myself up for half an hour. I'll set my alarm for half an hour. If I still want to beat myself up in half an hour, I'll keep beating myself up. What's the benefits of beating yourself up? What would you say to a friend? Who else benefits from you beating yourself up? Who else is impacted when you beat yourself up? How do you feel? What's your confidence level like? What's your energy like that you can give to other people? If you can't do it for yourself, what happens to others? Because often, we are, deep down, we have a lot of selfish motives. Like, morning, Jane. If you think about when we help someone else, we feel good, right? And it's just honest, like talk, right? When I get a message from someone who says, oh, look at this, look what I did this exercise, I feel good. So technically, although I've helped them, although I've helped you, I actually feel great from doing it, and I get a lot from it. And that's just human nature. And I'm like, oh, I love that. It's like it gives me so much energy, so I want more of that. So I work harder to help them and them and them. And my point here is that you just got to think about, okay, what makes me tick sometimes in terms of how do I shorten the gap? Shorten the gap. Remember, those obstacles are there. Those perceived negatives are there to help you. Prove me wrong. So, shorten the gap today. Any questions, do let me know. And have a lovely day. It's under 1 week till we reopen in Marlborough and open our brand new studio in Devizes. So, if you want more information on that for our 28-day Kickstart, post-lockdown, send me a message. You can do it all from home, Devizes, Marlborough. Send me a message. I will get you the details. Have a great day. Speak soon.